But see, now watch this, because that's interesting fact, and it's interesting how they put it. But I think most people know how to read, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
it's the comprehension of what they're reading. Number one, because people could read, but are you comprehending what you're reading? And that's something that they don't really teach. Is turn you have singular places and individuals such as teachers and professors that teach, right, that coach people on how to comprehend what they're reading. Then you just have different, just read this, and let's not even get you to understand what it is that you're reading, right? So comprehension is a true fact in terms of the reading aspect. And I think that's where we fall short as people. Now, A,
Well,
we
yeah.
don't read enough. We don't vary what we read enough. And reading is almost like, do I have to go? I have to carve out time to read. Yes and no,
Well,
because
no,
you
yeah, it's functional.
correct.
You gotta read. So, but what I'm saying is, I get that the comprehension, but I'm just saying that if you sat down, what that's saying is that the way I took it
Mm-hmm.
was, well, and it works for here. Okay, you have to communicate at a really low level. So that's what I'm saying. Like the five syllables is like is it they not? I mean, this is what I'm saying. I'm like, people just, it's out of here. Like they out of here. So how do you communicate to the mass? So I mean, you have to communicate that, because the news is like, they said the news. I think news is like at maybe sixth grade or second grade. It's something like the news. The newspaper is sixth grade. Like local newspapers is written pretty much like a sixth grade level. The New York Times is higher. Maybe like Washington. I mean, some of the bigger national ones, L.A. Times, New York Times, Atlanta Journal, Constitution might be slightly higher. But television,
I just heard a statistic that the poll was done yesterday. I heard it. 30% of the population of people believe media.
yeah, and I believe it's more than that.
No, no, excuse me. Don't believe in media. 30%
Don't believe.
don't
Well,
believe in the
I
media.
mean, 70% do. You know what I mean? Like, but media is the thing that, But I'm just saying, think about how your message. So, for instance, I say for us, because right now, at this point, present time, right now, and good morning to our viewers out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're serving this media right now. We're sharing information. So now the brow was a little bit higher. I mean, it's only but so far down we can, stiff it out. I mean, we'll get some other ways. We'll get creative with doing it. But to reach, if we were going to reach multi-million people, like a million people right now, they're like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how we would conduct this show to do that, without it naturally, organically happening. I'm not
Right.
saying there aren't a large number of people that get what we're saying, but I'm just saying mass media.
Right.
Boom. We can't,
Right.
like that. Now, I know you're sitting there and you're like, what does got to do with my business? Yeah, I don't understand. Well, you know,
Well, I mean, let's pause for just for a moment on that question. Really, right? Because if someone, if the context of what you're talking about, and someone says, well, what does that have to do with my business or me doing business? Then that's the moniker that you probably shouldn't even be in business, because you have to. And it's interesting because I was just talking to my son last night, right? And I said, there's a statement out there that says the more you learn, for me anyway, right? The more I learn, the more I realize what I don't know, right?
absolutely.
But when you go deeper and you get into specific, we were having a really specific conversation. And what's funny is the difference in ages between me and my son. He's a college student, and he's a very intuitive person. He asks some really heavy questions, right? And but
no surprise there.
But what's interesting is the disparity, the distance from what I understand about that specific topic to where he's now learning it. And he doesn't even know, he's not even nowhere near being halfway understanding, but his intuitiveness was carrying him a lot farther, right? And so I gave him some bullet points on some things for him to go back and research so we could have a further conversation, right? And the point what I'm trying to make is that in his mind he thought he met a destination of knowing something. You know what I mean? And so as business people, we get to a certain place and we got to learn at the next level. And we start at the bottom of that next level till we get to the top, and then we get to the new level. We start at the bottom and we keep going. So it's a staircase effect all the way up.
Absolutely.
I yield
all
back
day
right there. So I just wanted to make that point.
Yeah, well, I mean it lines up the point that I was going to. I was going to more to marketing. I was going to like, okay, this is the environment we're in. These are the folks that we're trying to talk to. So, because you always have to meet people where they are, and if you know, okay, I'm not putting these statistics out to disparage anybody. I'm just saying these are things that people have researched and say is fact.
Right.
So, and I personally believe because of the movement of social media, the communication channels becoming communication methods shorter, short characters, texting, everything is short. Certain long form things, people just don't process it, and they're not going to process it fast. Just because we don't, our brains, our synapses are probably whatever, they're getting wide or closed, whatever it is.
Right.
So I'm saying from a marketing standpoint, when you're trying to reach out to somebody or go do something, you have to bear this in mind. Like, oh, wait a minute. So if I want to go write a white paper, but I want the target and I want a specific target to do it. Knowing their reading level is one thing, but then in finance, a lot of people are going to be at possibly third grade compared. I'm like that, so I have to bear in mind that I have to make my messages. If the general population about general subjects is reading here and comprehending, I'll add that reading and comprehending, and I'm taking a very technical subject, I had to bring it down even further because it's going to be too much. And also, I will say, what I think is interesting about that statistic, which you can go into, is that I don't necessarily think that's like, I think educated people, because once you get into the grind, back into the grind, what you're saying, how many people do you know have, like, if you poll 100 people and say, have you read more than one book this year? I mean, I would be really interested to see, like,
right.
Whatever.
Right.
Have you read a book? We don't. Once you get out of school, majority of people don't read books anymore. So you don't use it, you lose it. And so that's why, as you see, I changed the bottom here. You know how we do production meetings during the show. I think we will highlight. We're gonna highlight a book, one a week.
Yeah, matter of fact, I mean, because I can, I got a few that I went through.
That's what I say. Remember?
Yeah, next week. No, I mean, the next show.
Right, so you go next week.
I'm not dropping no base right now. You know what I mean?
No, I was about to say. That's what I said. Like, remember, we said 6th grade.
Other than my strategy, you know what I'm saying?